I love Halo. I absolutely love Halo. And look, I always will. Halo will always be the top tier pinnacle series for me. And I absolutely love it. However, it's no secret that the discourse for the recent, most recent Halo game, Halo Infinite, which came out last November, by the way, 8 months ago, has been rocky. It's been tumultuous, and unfortunately it's gone from, hey, look at this amazing Glory Day Halo game, I'm so excited about it, it actually feels great, maybe Halo could be one of the top shooters once again, to, man, 343, if you want this to continue to being one of the top shooters, you'll need to add some content. To 343, seriously, you need to add some content. You're already losing players, you'll lose your fans if you don't just add some content. To please add some content. This is a drought. When is season 2, for crying out loud? To, at least once we get to season 2, it'll only be 3-month chunks, so then we can get content at a more rapid pace. To, oh my god, another 6-month chunk? Are you being serious? There's not going to be any more substantial content until a year after the game came out. To, will Halo Infinite even survive? And unfortunately, I think the answer is no. I think it's a resounding no. I don't think Halo Infinite's going to survive, and I certainly don't think it's going to, skyrocket back into popularity and become one of the top shooters. And in order to access this conversation, I want to talk about No Man's Sky and one of the biggest misunderstandings in gaming and sort of gaming discourse, the resurrection of a video game, something that people talk about a lot but don't really look into deep enough to actually understand how flawed a notion it is. And of course, there are 2 games I think that people really focus on when they talk about resurrecting video games, and that's Battlefront 2 and No Man's Sky. Now, firstly, Battlefront 2, I want to get this out of the way. As a seasoned Battlefront 2 veteran, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on this channel before, Battlefront 2 is my most played non-Halo game of the Xbox One era. I absolutely adore that game, and I can tell you firsthand from the horse's mouth, that game has been dead for a long time. It died years ago. It had a little bit of popularity at the start, and then it purely became a niche game, and it's difficult to find games now, and it has been for a couple of years now. But the big one, the one that I want to focus on, No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky came out in 2016, and it was going to be the next big thing. Throw away your Call of Duties, throw away your Halos, throw away your Destinies, because this is the next hot shit. It was a different game, and I think people were very excited about that. Conceptually, a very different game. People got very excited about that and hailed it as the next big thing. I remember my boss even had a notepad so that he could chart the planets that he found. And he wasn't even a nerd. He wasn't a nerd, boss. He was a regular dude, but he was so excited about this game. I remember how astronomically huge in hype this game was, and it did phenomenally well at first. And then I think it might have actually broken records for returns and refunds at the time. It didn't deliver on nearly any of the stuff that they said it would deliver on. It was a shell of a game. It was the very basic fundamentals of the game. It didn't look as good as they said it would, and it didn't have it had almost none of the features that it said it would come with, and it had a very stripped out, bare bones campaign. So unfortunately, the hype died, and everybody just traded it in and got rid of it. Was it 2016 or 20? I'm pretty sure it was 2016. Yeah, everyone traded it in, got rid of it, didn't want to think about it or talk about it anymore. It fell off the map and completely died. Well, a year or 2 later, they, rather than giving up and rather than saying, okay, now we're done, they decided to go back to the drawing board and fix all of the things that they didn't include in the game. They added all of the stuff that they said was going to be in the base game initially, and they released what was called No Man's Sky. Oh god, what was it? It was No Man's... right, as a placeholder, I'm going to say No Man's Sky Next, but I can't remember the exact name of the reboot, the update that was so big that they had to title the game something different, and people genuinely thought they'd have to pay more to get this updated version because it felt like a sequel. More of a sequel than Overwatch 2 does, I can tell you that. But no, they released it for free. They gave it to everyone who had No Man's Sky, and it largely added a lot of the stuff that they said they would have in the base game. There you go. Everybody gets what they want, right? This is hailed as the big gaming resurrection, and whenever you see a video regarding the discourse of how to resurrect a video game or whether a game can be resurrected or fixed, this is cited. And that's wrong. That's completely incorrect because yes, everyone got what they wanted. Except the developers. Because yes, it sold well and initially, and then everyone returned their game and then they gave you this free update, but that didn't add a spike of sales that matched that of when the game came out. Nowhere near. It added a few players, sure, and it gave them more of a dedicated fan base of recurring players rather than what they had before. But it was a fraction of what they had before, a tiny percentage, maybe enough for a sequel and definitely enough for further updates, which apparently added even more cool stuff, but not the hype that they had garnered initially with this game. So Resurrection, Frankenstein's monster, I mean, like something that's like a zombie that is partially conscious. Yeah, maybe. And to apply this to Halo Infinite is an entirely different beast and something that would need even more of a resurrection than No Man's Sky did. Don't forget, No Man's Sky is a one-off payment game. You buy the game and then you have access to it. Unfortunately, that's the way things go now. You don't own it anymore, you have access to it. But yeah, you buy the game, you have access to it. Well, Halo Infinite is a free-to-play game. It works differently. If you download the game, you haven't necessarily bought anything. You haven't incurred any costs. Now, if everyone bought the Battle Pass for Halo Infinite, let's say, for example, No Man's Sky is £30 to buy. I actually think it's a little more than that, but let's say it's £30. If everyone bought the Battle Pass for Halo Infinite, let's say it's £10. I think it's actually more like $8, but I can't think off the top of my head. And don't forget, you can carry your Battle Pass over if you finish a Battle Pass. But let's just say, for argument's sake, everyone buys a Battle Pass. You would need to, in order to match how much No Man's Sky made, you would need triple the players of No Man's Sky. And yes, potentially Halo could get that. But you would, so say for example, like No Man's Sky sold 1 million copies with refunds and returns taken into consideration. Halo Infinite would then have to sell 3 million off of that. It would have to be that much more incremental. And let's not forget, this is Halo. We're talking about a glory days moment. A resurrection would suggest that, yeah, back into the popular eye, this huge moment. But it wouldn't be. It would be 3 times what we had with No Man's Sky in order to even match that. It wouldn't be. It would just be another Flutter. It would become a niche game once again, which is what Halo 5 kind of always was. It would just be up to that status once again. At the moment, it's being beaten by MCC, and I don't think we've ever seen a case of a game just skyrocket back into popularity. I genuinely can't think of one. I know some people say Fortnite. No, they released an entirely different game. That doesn't count at all. Warzone boosted the popularity of Modern Warfare 2, but once again, that's a different game. Okay, sure, you could add a Battle Royale to Halo Infinite, but you're not fixing the multiplayer aspect of Halo Infinite, and I also have given my reasons as to why I don't think a Battle Royale for Halo Infinite would be as successful as people seem to think it would be. I don't think we have any evidence whatsoever suggesting that Halo Infinite could ever be one of the top shooters again, particularly with regards to this resurrection syndrome. There is no game that's resurrected onto the level of Halo 1, 2, or 3, or even onto the level of, like, I don't know, Battlefield 4 or 5, when they came out. They weren't the biggest games, but they were in, the top 5. No, that's not going to happen to Halo Infinite. And potentially they could resurrect it, and tomorrow they could release a huge update that includes Forge co-op and adds like 5 4v4 maps on 1 BTB map or 2 BTB maps with new biomes, deserts, snow and stuff like that. They could give us what we wanted. And the fact is, everyone who's going to try this game has tried it. Everyone who was going to jump in and give it a go already did, and it's not going to happen again. You typically only get one shot with that, with a lot of people, and they had that shot. Don't forget that Halo Infinite was hugely popular when it came out because everybody could sort of jump in and give it a go. They've done that. They've jumped in. They gave it a go. And if you give people a complete full game, if they do reboot it, which is the rumor that I've heard that they're going to completely reboot the game for next year, you've already seen that spike, and I just don't think it's going to happen again. Also, with regards to a complete reboot, they said the same with Anthem, they did it with Fallout 76, by the way. Whenever people talk about resurrected video games, they always fail to mention the huge percent of games, the way bigger percent of games that just tried to resurrect themselves and failed. Anthem, Fallout 76, like I said, Battlefront 2, the list goes on. I can't think off the top of my head, but there are so many games that just flopped on launch and never really did manage to come back despite tries to. And even if they deliver the game that we want, and even if we do like it and it becomes something that's good, it's still just a base game. And again, that's the big difference between No Man's Sky and Halo Infinite. When they released the No Man's Sky update, they included all of the cool stuff that made it a revolutionary game. They put the stuff in that people were so excited to about to begin with. If they add all of the stuff that that we need in Halo Infinite, and it would be a lot. A progression system would be really nice. 343. If they added all of that stuff to the game, we'd still just have a good shooter. We'd just have a good arena shooter. Nothing that would catch the public eye in a way. I know the game died out, but something like Among Us, it was a different type of game. It was something a little bit different. It had a funky art style. It was a little bit flash animation-y. So it grabbed people's eye. Infinite, we've already seen. We've seen the gameplay, we've seen the graphics, we've given it a try, we know what it plays like, and if they release a complete version of it, then the fans will be happy, but no one else will, and I think they know that. I'm just not happy with 343, man. I don't think the Halo name is going to carry nearly as much weight as it used to. I don't think it ever will, ever again. I just don't. I don't think there's a single chance that it could. I think it will exist for a long time, and I think they'll keep releasing games, and it will continue to have a hardcore niche fan base. And one day, maybe they will release a very good game complete with lots of features, lots of stuff to do, and a great art style and fantastic gameplay. And I'll love it, and other Halo fans will love it, and that will be it. I think Halo Infinite has forever tarnished the name of Halo, and it will forever be associated with 343 being utterly incompetent and just completely shell games, just complete shells of video games. Exactly the same thing's happening to BioWare as we speak, where it's cautious optimism. It's like a little bit standoffish now, and 343 have been doing this for a very long time. But as long as Bungie, they've been doing this for as long as Bungie did. Actually longer. I think they've been doing it for a year longer than Bungie did. And they have earned a terrible reputation, a phenomenally bad reputation. And I know a lot of people talked about sort of, all right, dev time and engine, managing to cope with the engine, ECC and stuff like that. Well, then, okay, this may be true. This may be true that it may be a difficult engine to deal with. But why is it that 343 are the only developers who deal with this kind of shit? Why is it that Halo 5 didn't have everything we wanted at launch? Why was it that Halo 4 was ugly and just a complete mess of a video game and creatively inept, stealing things from other games? And then they fuck up Halo 5 and they fuck up MCC. Yeah, they fixed MCC down the road, but they still fucked it up when it came out. And then they fuck up Halo Infinite and we're supposed to go, oh yeah, but it's because of UI limitations. All right, yeah, maybe it is. They suck. They are terrible and they can't handle the UI limitations. Lots of other devs can, but for some reason 343 can't. Halo as a brand isn't going to die, but it's going to dwindle, and 343 will forever be the box that they bury it in.